Hi, I'm Dr. Alexander Mosley, and welcome to my philosophical minis in which I review a concept or idea from philosophy. Today we ask, what is materialism? Materialism is a theory, it's an ism, that suggests that the entire universe is made up of only physical things. Now, any theory about the nature of the universe is part of the area of philosophy we call metaphysics. Now, on a common sense level, as we stub our toe on something, we may think that materialism makes perfect sense, but then when we start to consider what it implies as a belief system, we find that, like all isms, it has its limits or problems. In this philosophical mini, I shall review what we call a strong materialism, which renders everything as material, including our thoughts. A weaker materialism allows thoughts and dreams to be byproducts of material systems, which create an entertaining analysis in its own right. So let's just do hardcore materialism through a series of key ideas that explore its basic elements. Firstly, there is no mind separate from the brain. Your brain is a complex neural network that processes data and makes choices based on what the physical environment presents. The data are physical. An external stimulus causes electrical signals to be sent from the nerve endings, sensory nerves, auditory nerves, optical nerves, all physical things, to the brain, a physical entity in itself made up of biochemical compounds and networks, and protected by a physical skull. And the consequent decision is a flow-through of outputs made by the nervous system and related to a host of physical chemicals to enact a change in the endocrine and musculoskeletal system to effect an action or not. Secondly, everything has a cause in the universe, including your decision to review this video, but more importantly, all causes are material entities bumping into other material entities. Ultimately, a practically infinite series of such combinations cause you to scratch your nose, get a job, or to fall in love. Thirdly, ideas as insubstantial things do not exist. We cannot poke an idea, so all choices independent of external input and outputs are mere illusions according to the materialists. We are reactive active beings, just like a weather vane moving in the wind, and like the vane, it is not conscious in any sense of meaning beyond what its physicality does. Memories, accordingly, are also physical things, subject to wear and tear or decay, but also, like the electronic imprints made on a hard drive, they too can be transferred to exterior devices to maintain the particular human memories forever. This is also the theory of transhumanism. Fourthly, there is no such thing as freedom of will, as that is also illusory. Accordingly, we can add that our illusions are just illusions, and we cannot really speak of them as anything real except insofar as they are physical mental loops or neurological burps, as it were, that suggest things such as choice, freedom of will, and even personal identity that exist over and above the physical reality. It's a bit like programming a computer to say that it exists over and over again and to assert that it has freedom of will, while the programmer is in fact in complete control and providing the free will program. Fifthly, God either is one of our illusions, this time of the mental hardware imagining in one of its neurological burps that it has produced an ultimate hardware that bests all other hardware, or God is in fact a material object whom one day we may literally bump into. Sixthly, abstract nouns and their associations such as love are nothing but material responses to the external environment. An epigenetic reaction to another material being creates a cascade of genetic and hormonal reactions affecting an attraction according to this theory, an acute reaction being the simplistic sexual attraction which may wear off, or a chronic attraction being a longer lasting compatibility between two hard drives, as it were. Seventhly, a sense of self-independence of the rest of the environment is thus delusive. As psychologist B.F. Skinner noted, he does not have a self. I, you, them over there do not really exist. Eighthly, since the entire universe is physical, that also implies that the neurological structures of the human brain can access and process those materials not just for food and shelter, but also to unravel the nature of the great Urstoff, the original stuff that the entire structure is made from, the tiniest Lego bricks as it were, well, the so-called God particle that materialists are always seeking. Once the mechanical reaction action entities called humans access those, they may be able to apply new production techniques to stop the human machines from wearing out and dying. Meanwhile, functionally, materialism enables us to make fire, crack open a nut, drink water, wear clothes, drive a car, answer a smartphone, listen to music, catch a fish, and so on. So, possibly without understanding the material world and use it for our purposes, we would be dead pretty quickly. Ninthly, evolution is a purely physical phenomenon in which intelligence of any form cannot partake. Creatures of all sorts of structures emerge through random combinations, initially of chemicals in a primordial soup, and later through behaviour or physiological adaptations through the survival of the fittest to pass down their more useful traits, operating systems and software as it were, relative to useless traits that would get a creature killed. Tenthly, in terms of health, all medical and hardware, this is brain-mind issues, are material and can be resolved through material interventions by other brain minds using material resources. Depression, for instance, has nothing to do with beliefs, expectations, fear, etc., but a lack of an appropriate virus protection protocol, and usually some combination of material elements coded by the word drug. Talking about problems is a non-starter, as that would be like leaving a computer on all night to run through its diagnostics, but not actually wipe or rewrite any of its troublesome software. 11th, on that note, one day the material thing that we call ourselves will fade away from wear and tear, accidents, misuse of the operating systems relative to the environment, such as imbibing toxins, intentional destruction by another human being, or self-destruct resulting from a neurological breakdown. It'll thus die, and its material bits and pieces will be recycled somehow or other sometime later. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. That's all there is. 12thly and finally, the entire universe is either infinite or finite. Either will do for the materialist. Some proclaim that the universe is one of many, but cannot explain what is between the universes. Some note that our universe will one day be a frozen universe, and will exist for infinity as a solid lump in which nothing can happen. Some note that it may implode and start again, or it may give birth, as it were, to another universe. All material, all stuff doing the things that stuff does. No intelligence. Human brains may observe and form neurological commentaries for other human brain minds, and may create pathways to better adapt to change, like get off the planet before the sun expands. But ultimately, for the materialist, the existence of the universe, and hence what we call life, is just a haphazard event that could easily not have happened, or it could have gone awry. And we shouldn't worry about it, because worry is a neurological problem for our hardware that needs tweaking or sorting out. The problems with materialism are many at the rational and logical level of reasoning. We'll pick up a few here. Firstly, light is not physical, so materialists have to accept that there is a material world built up of ultimate bricks, as well as an energetic world that we sense with the light spectrum and use, say in the sense of electromagnetic force, which we cannot bump into directly, as it were, except only indirectly in its functions. That is, energy is utilised to empower the slowly self-evolving human machines and the machines that they make. There is more to light than meets the eye, to paraphrase Hamlet. Secondly, not one materialist has been able to see a human thought. Think of a pink elephant. Go on, a pink elephant. You can get as an invasive a machine as possible and even scan the electromagnetic leaps occurring around a thought held in mind in some brain lobe, but the machine and the observer will never see the pink elephant. Thirdly, an intelligence that is greater than any one of us cannot exist, which is fine for the materialist, but can be countered by the very existence of life itself, whose most fundamental combinations of molecules that create the even most basic cell are so improbable as to be nigh on impossible, in the league of 10 raised to the power of 79 billion. And so the alternative hypothesis that there is something else, such as a conscious intelligence, permeating the universe, may be the simpler hypothesis. Fourthly, materialism does not explain, except with highly convoluted infinite sequences of material combinations, why people suddenly get a creative inspiration, and yet human progress is built on creativity. Fifthly, if we are just cells combining and creating and recreating our own hardware, that's a very depressive thought. Yet that combination should not create depression, or elation for that matter. Our minds should just produce neutral, logical thoughts. Except that they don't. We fall in love, we get angry, we seek various aspirations, we are plagued by fears, we pray, and many experience insights into what they see as a truer nature of the universe. which may suggest something ineffable, something beyond the physical is going on that requires serious philosophical attention. That'll do for this lesson. It's not an exhaustive review, of course, but hopefully has stirred some thought, as is my destiny, which may be inspired or pre-programmed. You can think about that. Thank you for listening. I'm Dr. Alex Mosley.